one of my go-to supplements so I can have good lush berries and just overall good plant health and development is bone meal. You can go to your local big box store and pick you up a bag of this bone meal, but sometimes you may be on a budget, your change may be a little strange, your dough may be a little low, and your money may be a little bit of funny. So what I want to do, I want to give you some free DIY alternatives to bone meal. One on the list is chicken manure. Chicken manure and a few other animal manures are really high in phosphorus, but it's always recommended because they're so high, so rich in nutrients, to mix them in with a little bit of compost to kind of dilute the concentration of the nutrient. The second alternative is eggshells. Ground up eggshells will add a good amount of phosphorus as well as calcium. You can dry them, cook them, bake them, and then grind them up to a powder. You can sprinkle it in your soil or add it to your compost. The third free alternative is seashells. If you live near a beach, just pick up all of those seashells and you can grind them up like a powder, and you can add that to your compost or to your soil because those are also good in calcium as well as phosphorus. Do you enjoy eating seafood? Well, the next free alternative can come from seafood. Crab, lobster, shrimp peelings, and shells. Those also really great in phosphorus as well as calcium. Same, you can do those the same way as eggshells. Clean them up real good, dry them out, and then grind them up into a powder. The next free bone meal alternative you can use in your garden is ground up nuts and beans. You can use ground up nut shells, acorns, pecans, as well as ground up beans. You can grind those all up, and those will add a decent amount of phosphorus, maybe not as high as bone meal. You can add those to your compost, preferably will be the best method, but you can also sprinkle them around your garden and sprinkle them in the soil, as they will act as a pest deterrent to some pests, not all, but some. Now, the next thing on this list, if you like to go fishing, don't throw away the scraps and the guts and things like that. Instead, use those because those can actually add a really good, just overall nutrients to your soil. Not only will the ground up fish parts have nitrogen, but they will also have phosphorus and calcium in their bones. So all of the bones and the guts and all of that can be either ground up to make an emulsion or simply buried deeply into the soil and let it slowly decompose, as well as you can just add it to your compost. Now, it will stink and smell, and it may be better to deeply bury them in your soil, just whatever works for you. But whole bait fish, ground up fish parts, all of that, those can be excellent sources of phosphorus in addition to many, many other micronutrients. So here are just some free alternatives to bone meal to use in your garden. Now, I typically like to use my bone meal when I'm doing transplanting because it helps to give good root structure. I also like to give my bone meal, a heavy dose of bone meal, to my peppers, tomatoes, and a lot of my high nutrient demanding plants. And what that bone meal does, it gives you good phosphorus, and it gives the roots a lot of phosphorus and allows the roots to really get strong and sturdy, which overall eventually will lead to better fruit production and better flowering overall.